Hello, how are you guys? I hope you're well. Colleen Gallagher here. I wanted to come on and do a quick video for you all, specifically around disappointment. We're at May 14th. Joe, you're on! Joe is one person that never disappoints me. But I wanted to come on and share a quick message about disappointment. So for those of you who know, my third book is coming out June 8th. It's so exciting. It's through my publisher, Morgan James. Yes, Joe. And I reached out to PR firms, back in November and December. And I was like, okay, I want to make sure I'm prepared. I make sure that I'm super prepared. I'm planned. I have the PR firms ready. And, I did all the right steps. I planned for my future. I planned for my event. And, I had all the things. And then all of a sudden this week, I meet with a few of the PR people that I was going to hire. We were going to start. And I talked with them back in November, December, and we've decided it's not going to be a fit. And on top of that, as many of you know, I was hacked on all of my accounts. And so it's I feel like, I don't know if any of you have felt like this, I am offering something really good in the world. I went through something really traumatizing, cancer, abuse, other things with it. And I made this beautiful creation for myself to help other men and women through trauma, through diagnoses that Western medicine give you. And it feels like I did the right things. I planned, I did everything you're supposed to in the business books or in the finance books. I did the things. I still have a publisher. It's still a publisher, but it's my PR firm. And so, my publisher is Morgan James Publishing. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. But so it's a PR firm. They message and, it's not going to be a fit. And so it feels like a lot is crumbling in on me. It feels okay, and I don't know if many of you can relate to this. You have this big, exciting thing. You're super excited. You did the right things, you feel and it could be in a relationship, and then it just, all these pieces are falling apart. And it's really easy when that happens to get into the mindset, which I used to do. This would have been really traumatizing for me before. I would have been man, I just wasted my time. I should have never wrote this book. It was just not the right thing. And instead what I did, I was okay, obviously God has a better plan. Obviously there's something greater that's meant to occur here. Obviously I'm meant to have a more heck yes publisher. Obviously there's another social media platform that's going to come out for me. Obviously my magazine, Expanded Liberation, is meant to have more of my attention than social media. These are just things that obviously are meant to happen, or this wouldn't be happening this way. And then on top of that, I got blocked from WhatsApp today. No one even knows why that happened. I guess my number got reported for a bunch of things, and it's all owned by whatever. So it's all these things that are really a big part of my life that it's an inconvenience. And the worst feeling for feminine, for the female, is to feel disappointed. And I feel this year, in a lot of ways, I felt disappointments from different people that I really mattered in my life, that I really counted on. And then I have this creation, it's almost like you have this child, which is my book, which is your business, well, for me. And you go to the doctor says this is what's going to happen. And then the last minute, they're oh, sorry, I can't do it for you. I can't do the thing. And it's and so when you're in this journey of consciousness, or even in business, or even in growing your empire, or whatever it is you want to do, you have to start to be able to navigate these challenges with grace. And I feel what I'm learning, and I wrote a blog about this 2 days ago, that once I thought I got somewhere, the more famous you got, or the more assets you have, or the more whatever you have, that you would not have problems. But the reality is actually, it's quite the opposite. The larger you get, the more creations you have, the larger problems you have, the larger things you have to look at, legality-wise, people stealing your stuff, people being I love what you're doing, but I'm not your person. I want to do right by you, so I have to say no. And then you have to accept that and move forward with grace and move on to the next piece. And that time lapse of feeling rejected or abandoned, or all these things that come up when it's you feel you did the things. If I planned since December to use this person, December, January, February, March, April, 4 months, this was already locked in. And so it's just reminding to breathe. And in each of these, there's an expansive journey for you to go on so that you can get into a liberated state. And this is exactly what I talk about in An Uncompromised Life, is really the 12 principles of how to truly fall in love with life. One of these is trusting the adventure of life. The adventure of life, it has ups and downs like a roller coaster. This is an adventure. This is something I didn't plan. And it's for my greatest good. So yesterday I spent a bunch of days looking at management companies, PR companies. And then today, of course, all the PR companies were like, wow, so in alignment, makes so much sense. Like all the people that I wanted to really go or be and move through. And so it's all happening in a divine order, but just checking yourself in that disappointment, like it's safe to feel that, it's okay to feel that. And let's transition it into a higher frequency, into an expanded frequency, into this was the best case scenario, the person said no, now what's my best case scenario instead of, worst case scenario, like really switching that mind frame. So I wanted to say that because I know there's another guy I've been watching, Feel Good, Phil, and he was saying that May is like this intense month for us energetic beings. Those of us who have energetic, we live our life from spirituality, we live our life from consciousness, awareness, we deeply practice it. This is an intense month of anything that we have not yet healed. It's going to come up straight in our face for us to be able to heal it, for us to be like, hey, are you looking at that? Or do you think you're going to tuck that away and not look at that? And I feel like I've had to really acknowledge this month, my identity is me. And no matter what any other distribution channel does or people do around me, I am always my light. I am always my power. I'm always my identity. And this is like now coming up in more and more and more ways. And I just want to share that disappointment feeling that's coming up for maybe many of you, or you're going through things that disappointed by the relationship, or you thought you had an agreement and someone let you down, or just all the things, like best case scenario, only something better is meant to happen to move through that disappointment at a more rapid rate so we can get you in an expanded, liberated state and also for you to truly fall in love. So I love you guys. I hope this serves. Feel free to share it. Let me see. How do you find grace when you want to strangle the world with your bare hands? I like that. I think for me, Joe, how I look at it is people that are not yet aware, right? They're not yet in consciousness. A lot of people are asleep due to the programming from their parents, a lot of people watch the news. I mean, that's a massive issue right there, that people are watching the news. And so when people say things that, aren't in my belief system of what I know in true unity consciousness, and they're really being really aggressive, or they're being really, strict in their beliefs, and it's causing a disruption in grace, it's causing a disruption in ease. I always say, if that was really truth needs no defending. And as soon as you kind of bring that out, they kind of go like, what? Like, why are you so married to defending this, whatever you're trying to defend? And I usually say that if I even want to have an interaction. Otherwise, I kind of just go, wow, you're in a lot of pain, and I send you love, I send you grace, because if someone has the desire and need to prove a point or to say horrifying things or to agree with what mainstream media is saying, it's almost like what I write in my third book. They have so much pain inside of them that they have not yet been able to look at because it's so painful. Like the trauma is so deep, whatever it could be. And it's now coming out in this lashing thing of, all the list of things I could name going on in the mainstream media. I don't want to give it energy, but I'll internally go, do I want to have that dialogue of are they open to be like, if it was really truth, you wouldn't need that? Or do I just go, wow, really, you're in a lot of pain, sending you love and grace, moving on with my life. It's not worth the energy to give it a conversation because they're just channeling unknowingly a darker force. It's almost like we are in the middle of World War III, but it's like the darkness is channeling through this person who's being frustrating. And when that energy is being channeled through them, the darker force, they have no idea that they are overtaken by an entity, like a dark force. And you can't awaken someone do you know a darker energy is being through you right now? That doesn't work. They're not going to receive that. But it's more just be the example of what you know to be true. And then I've seen people shift massively. That's just how it goes. And sometimes people don't. Even my PhD, there's a lot of people in my PhD that are very much, I don't want to get too far into it, but they're very much into everything the media says. We should follow the media, and it's very different from mine. And we have to accept that we live in a society that there's going to be that polarization. And until there is more awakening, I believe through technology, there's more people sharing their story, there's more people authentically embodying their truth and in a way of grace, not in a way of anger. There's not going to be a middle ground, because people who get angry, whatever the topic's at, super angry about something that's outside of their life, not a relationship in our dynamic, but even that. But if you're getting angry to protest something about something going on in the external reality, that's you just giving unhealed energy with inside of you to a force outside of you. So it's like this really tricky navigation of trying to explain darkness, lightness, channeling. Unawarely, people are not sovereign in their body. And so for me, that's kind of the two avenues I take. But I do feel really sad sometimes as a sentient being that so many people are so addicted. Like they're so in marriage to darkness. They're so in marriage to this is the way. Like this is how it has to be. And it, even I just had this course actually that was at Pepperdine. And one of the professors, it was from Georgetown, and he was talking about polarization. I didn't know this live was going to go here, but anyway, he was talking about polarization. He's written 20-something books, really credible on polarization. And he brought up that in America right now, we're kind of going through the culture wars that China went through, which I actually really agree when you think about it, when you look at it, it's really interesting. But he said, here's a conversation for understanding. It's not for attacking. It's not for throwing daggers. But then he was clearly, more Democrat leaning, which is fine, no issue. But he said throughout the lecture multiple times, like, if you don't take the vaccine, it's because you're a Trump supporter or you're a young, dumb person in America. And I was like, whoa, like, you just stated in the very beginning of your PowerPoint presentation, this is a conversation, this is a presentation on understanding. And then he threw daggers. So I kind of felt like, wow, like this is pretty intense because your work is so profound. He's channeling really great information. Like he's wisdom about polarization, what it does to culture, and you're not practicing your work. And so I think for me, when I see things like what you said, strangle, in a way, I was like, whoa, this massive thing. I just go, wow, he has to be in so much pain that you've devoted decades of your life to something, and you're still not embodying what you're teaching. Like, I couldn't imagine that. I could not imagine that. And, I just kind of let it be because it's not my duty to save him. My duty is to sit and receive. And, I shared with the professors, and I'll share in my, feedback on the course. I didn't, think that was appropriate for what his intention was. Like, if he didn't say that was the intention, then obviously it would be different, but he did. So that's how I move through like examples like that. I think it means that I am educated on the risk and negative. I think it means that I am educated on the risk and negative effects. Yes, I agree. And I think I would be in resonance with you with that. And I also can appreciate if someone has their soul mission. So what I talk about in a lot of my work, like everyone has a soul mission, right? And this is what I love about the community that I have. We have everyone across the board in this community, from men, women, different views. But what I really love is that it's understanding your soul has a mission. Your soul has a reason to be here. From that soul mission of why you're here, why you're incarnated right now on the planet, there's going to be things that you believe that someone else who's also here on a soul mission, that's a light worker, you guys on a specific topic may have different avenues to communicate it, because that's the way to awaken humanity. There may be people right now that are truly light workers that, are, China winning in global trade. I have no idea. Like that would not be mine. But if that was their purpose to like awaken some type of, international trading system, I could see their point. I could see, wow, that's their purpose. It makes total sense to me. Like, I honor your journey. Go forward. To me, that is not my journey. Like, I believe in like equality. We should not be having like monopolies like that, especially on this planet. But that's my sole purpose. And if I can truly see that that's your mission, you're embodying your work, and that's your way to awaken whatever you're meant to awaken or create or build for this new earth as we transition in many ways. I mean, we're going to have cash we're going to have micro cities that are popping up. I mean, in Korea, when I used to work in New Zealand, I went there. I mean, they are way far advanced in their, micro, or their, what's it called? Like their communities where you have like the digital homes and everything's digitalized. Like it's crazy. Like you don't even, I can't think of the name. It'll come to me later. But, it's all digital basically. Like you go in, your cars, like you Uber, and like your cars or your groceries are like delivered to you in this car that's self-driving. Like it's insane. And so, people's purposes are different. I think it's just more, your purpose though never needs an argument. It doesn't need to be proven. It doesn't need anything. Like it's just truth. And that's where I think the point of we all need to come back to is like, am I saying something right now that's mean, that's downputting, that's daggers? Like that's the same energy as a bully. That's the same energy as rudeness. And so coming back with grace to go, wow, that person's in so much pain. Like there's so much trauma from their past. They have not yet been able to even surface. Maybe it was too painful. They haven't been able to remember. Like I had a trauma that happened, I didn't remember for, 20 years. Like, I think you've got to just acknowledge that sometimes people are in so much pain that they don't even know. So it's easy to grasp onto an anger outside of them to do that. And so it's more of like, instead of strangle them, like, wow, I send you love because there must be so much pain. And that's just how we align and move forward. So anyway, so it's about disappointment, but we went in a different direction, which is totally perfect and always great. So I love that you guys join. Hey, Jar, I don't know how to say it, Jarosla, but I always love that you always engage with my content and are here. Joe, I'm so happy you joined, and I hope you guys have a great start to the weekend. But just know every time someone says no, or you've planned for something, you're like, this is how it was going to work out. Like I thought with my PR team or my social media, whatever that it was, everything's a gift. Everything's happening on purpose. And the more that you can just surrender into that trust and knowing, the greater your life will accelerate and the greater creations that will come through you. So like, just instead of, feel the disappointment, then go to the creation. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.